Hey guys, as I said in yesterday's video, it is my wife and my anniversary, so I'm recording this video ahead of time immediately after that last one. It's a short video, so it shouldn't take a whole lot of time, but if you've been watching this series and you found a lot of value, I hope you've been at least giving me a like, preferably a subscribe. It really helps. But we're going to go over the final basic human movement, which is the loaded carry. Now, some of you might be thinking to yourself, how is this not part of like gait? Because in gait, we talked about how the lunge, the sprint, and jogging all fall into the same category. So why is walking with a load so different? And in some ways, I'm kind of with you on that. I'm not completely sure why the loaded carry is not necessarily considered part of gait, but I just read what the experts who know more than me, do more research, and have higher expertise. I kind of read what they say and let them be the authority on this. But I can see from their perspective that when we're walking under a load, it's not exactly the same mechanics as walking or running or even lunging, especially if you can imagine if we're walking with a load off center. So imagine, throughout humankind's history, how many things are so symmetrical that we can put them on our back and walk completely balanced, or hold small things in our hands. We've been lifting heavy things for a very long time. So I would say probably over the course of human history, 9 times out of 10, we're carrying something big and bulky, or maybe even over here to the side, maybe we're carrying it with someone else. And so our bodies are just kind of twisted up. That's not going to mimic normal gait in any way. So things are just very off center. Our spine is probably bent, our shoulders are probably twisted, our arms are out to a side, so everything is just completely off center, asymmetrical. So for that reason, I can see how the loaded carry should be considered a completely separate movement from any of those other traditional gait movement patterns, which were again the lunge, sprint, and jog. So let's talk about the things that you can be doing. Again, being a basic human movement, everyone should be doing all of these basic human movements weekly to keep their body properly conditioned, keep their joints healthy, able to sustain these movements and all the range of motion that we're supposed to have. But for the sport of paintball, what can you be doing to take these movements, in this case the loaded carry, and adapt it so that it's going to transfer the most to the paintball field? Well, as you can imagine, we're usually holding a paintball gun, and we are rarely holding more than one, so it makes sense to be doing a lot of unilateral or one-sided carries. Now, a paintball gun is not that heavy, but it does get heavy. A lot of you know this who play intermittently, once every month or two. You go out there and you play a long event, like at a big game. All of a sudden, at the end of the day, your hand is kind of cramping, your grip's really tired. You realize, wow, that 5 to 10 pounds in my hand all day long over the course of 8 or 10 hours actually got really heavy. So it makes sense to actually be doing a lot of these carries, whether it's one-sided or two-sided, with heavy weight for as much as we can, but honestly, the heavier the better. It's pretty hard, unless you're training for strongman at a gym that has multiple 100-pound weights that are designed to be held in each hand. It's pretty hard to overdo a carry and go too heavy on it. Not saying that can't happen, so be careful. Practice good judgment, but try to go and grab, 60, 70-pound dumbbells and walk with them. I guarantee you can probably take at least a few steps, most of you. But then kind of work your way up to where maybe you can take 10 or 20 steps, whatever it may be, and then add another 5 steps the next time, then another 5 steps, or go up 5 pounds, and then maybe even go up 10 pounds. But every single week, try to be working on your strength. And granted, a lot of us, after just a few months of commitment to this, will probably find ourselves topping out the dumbbells at our gym. Some gyms are equipped to have weight that you can hold in your hand that allows you to go up above that traditional 100-pound cutoff in the dumbbell line. Most people don't get weights over 100-pound dumbbells. But once you're kind of in that range of 80 to 100 pounds, I don't see it making much sense to try to find heavier weight. I think it's better to start going for longer. And if you've only been doing the carry, and you've been maybe doing it with 2 hands, go to 1 hand. Same weight, but only in 1 hand. It's going to be a lot harder, actually, even though you're holding half the weight. So do it in 1 hand at a time, trying to keep your shoulders level with the ground, your hips level with the ground, just trying to keep your spine as vertical as possible. That's going to transfer greatly to spinal stability. So try not to look like you're carrying it all wonky. That's just not real good for your body. The purpose is try to train good posture. So speaking of posture, I told you about the verticalness that we want of our spine. Also try to keep your ears over your shoulders over your hips, and your hips over your ankles. Granted, your ankles are going to be moving, but you get the idea. If you're standing there, you'd want all of those joints in a line. Shoulders right over the ears, ears right over the shoulders over the hips, hips over the ankles if you were standing still. Once you start moving, ankles are a different story, but hips, shoulders, ears, all in a line. So what can you do when you start topping out? Like, dude, I can walk with these 85, 90-pound dumbbells for a minute nonstop, no problem. Well, now start adding, like I talked about last video, start adding in other exercises and create a circuit where you walk for 30 seconds with those 90-pound dumbbells, and then we jump into some squats or some kettlebell swings, some trunk rotations, renegade rows. Like, start mixing up these movements so that your endurance is not just getting challenged by the carry itself, but by these other movements all in sequence with as little rest as possible. From there, the options are virtually infinite. So there's no reason you can't get creative and find out ways to make this harder and harder as the weeks go by. Now, if you want some fun, creative ideas of how to really make this transfer to paintball, but also be really challenging, you might look really funny at the gym, but imagine doing a bear crawl exercise, so walking on your hands and feet, but holding a 5 or 10-pound dumbbell in 1 hand as you do this bear crawl. Then you can decrease it to something much lower to the ground, like you were calling to the snake, like a lizard crawl or alligator crawl, where you're trying to keep your hips as low as possible, and you're doing this with a 5 or 10-pound dumbbell. Again, most gyms probably don't have the space for this. You're gonna look funny, you're gonna get a lot of looks, but if you feel comfortable trying that is something that you could do that would really transfer to the sport of paintball. I mentioned a couple of videos ago that there are some things that we can do at the paintball field much better for fitness than we can do in the gym, and this would be one of them, where if you're focusing on fitness at the paintball field, try doing some drills where you're doing a loaded carry in this case, but you're doing it really low to the ground, crawling, and just focus on your ability to crawl nonstop. Don't just focus on crawling in the snake that's at the field. Try going 2, 3, maybe even 4 times the distance. Try to crawl nonstop for 30 seconds just to work on the endurance, the mechanics, making your joints feel more and more comfortable, everything about that movement feeling more and more natural, so that when you are on the field and you're under pressure, you're not having to be distracted by how uncomfortable or awkward it feels crawling through the snake. It feels totally natural. So you can focus on the game, listen to your teammates. The more comfortable you get doing the physical aspect of paintball, the more your brain's gonna be able to focus on the other things it needs to be doing. That is honestly the takeaway of this entire series, is it's so important to get our physical conditioning down so that when we're playing our sport, in this case paintball, but it applies to any sport out there, our brains don't have to think twice about what the body is doing. It already knows what to do, and it's already able to handle it. That allows our full attention to go to the strategy and skill involved in the sport. That does it for me, guys. Thanks for watching this whole series about the basic human movements. I've got another video on the way tomorrow that I've already recorded, so it will be there as my wife and I enjoy our anniversary today. But there were a couple of topic videos that you guys sent that I will get to after I get back tomorrow, and those will be rolling out in the next 20 plus videos as this 30 videos and 30-day challenge continues. So thanks for all the engagement, the likes, the subscriptions that you've given me so far. Really do appreciate it, and I hope this stuff has been valuable. If you have questions about something you're dealing with and you want to see me do a video specifically about it, please drop it in the comments. I will definitely make a video and give you as much detail as I can. Thanks everybody, appreciate it, and we'll see you tomorrow.